As a gym owner, sometimes our feelings can lead us astray. You get angry at a staff member, or you get your feelings hurt when a long-term client terminates, or you straight up panic because you have a bad couple of weeks of sales. This is normal, and not necessarily helpful. But at the same time, emotions are an important part of being a human, so I wouldn't necessarily suggest you just completely kick them to the curb. So today, we're gonna cover how to leverage your emotions and not get boondoggled by them. Boondoggle, it's a good word. My name is Mark Fisher from Business for Unicorns, and if you like today's video, well, you might like a book of my musings. Maybe you're a book readery person, and if that's the case, you can scroll down to the description box below, directly underneath where you subscribe, and you can order my book, A Fitness Business Secrets, where I give you the real talk of the many things I've learned running the world's only multi-million-dollar unicorn fitness glitter cult. Now, I wanted to make this video because this is a piece of information that I hear a lot in business circles. I think is correct. It's the correct sentiment, but I want to provide some context because I think if we take it literally, it's not going to lead to good things. And that bit of advice is you must take your emotion out of it. Suffice it to say, a lot of us have these unhealed things. We can call them traumas, we can call them just like wounds from when we were younger, never really got healed properly, and because of that, we get triggered sometimes where we have an inappropriate, disproportionate reaction to a threat. And to make matters worse, sometimes the threat aren't even real, they're just perceived, and we're misinterpreting the data around us and jumping to conclusions. But here's the thing, you do want to monitor your emotions, and specifically, they're notifying you that something needs your attention, and that's good, that's data, we want that. So we want to, when we experience emotions in a healthy way, we want to process them, we want to experience them, we want to name them, we want to move through them. But again, it's also true, they're not always reliable. Your emotions can occasionally lead you to incorrect decisions and have you overreact, or in other cases, underreact, or in some cases, perhaps celebrate too early when things actually aren't that going good. And that's why ultimately we need to do this instead, which is look at the numbers. We need to look at the numbers, and we need to make evidence-based decisions based on the numerical data, not just your emotional data. Now, there's two ways that I see owners typically getting led astray here. The first is when you're in the business, right? And again, this is me too, right? I'm not saying I'm over here, I do this perfectly with my business, but when you're in the business, well, you're gonna have feelings about it. You're gonna have some emotions. You're gonna get invested in relationships with members of your team. You're gonna care about what your clients think. You're gonna get emotionally invested in even things like maybe a particular marketing strategy, or perhaps a service that you've invested a lot of time and energy and love and passion into. And in those situations, it can be hard to rip off Band-Aids and make the necessary change. This is one of the reasons a lot of gym owners have a hard time making the decisions that need to happen to move the ball forward. And if you want more insight on how to do this, I actually have a great video for you. You can find in the description box below, helpfully titled, How to Make Hard Changes in Your Training Gym. Now, I would note here very briefly, it is less common, but is also true based on your disposition. Just as there are some individuals that will freeze up and not do the thing they need to do because they're so afraid of upsetting people and they're just emotionally in it. Some people actually are the other way, where they're overreactive and they overreact to things, and they might fly off the handle and get rid of a service, or be reactive, or fire staff capriciously, which by the way is not a good idea legally. So I want to say both of those responses are not ideal. We're looking, as always, we don't want to give too many fucks. Can I say we also don't want to give too little fucks. We want to give the correct amount of fucks that is appropriate for the situation. Now, secondly, even when you want to make good decisions, one of the challenges that you'll have is if you are not proficient, you don't have a deep enough understanding of what the appropriate benchmarks are for the model that you run, for the number of clients per session, for the market you're in, you're not going to be able to actually discern, are your numbers appropriate for benchmarks for that type of business. So even if you are looking at week over week, or perhaps year over year trends, you still need to know, is this retention percentage good? Is this utilization good? And a lot of you just don't know that. And I would say, I'm not trying to be a shill over here, but this is part of the benefit of having a coach and outside eyes. That number one, if you work with a coach, I am not emotionally invested in your business. I have empathy for it. I understand because I have been like you. So I get it, but I'm an outside eye that's objective and helpful, that can hold you accountable and with all the love, nudge you into what needs to happen. Secondly, because I do this all day long, every day, for many years, in every single nook and cranny of the fitness industry, I come equipped with some benchmarks, which is I can pretty quickly ask you a few choice questions and get a good sense of what needs to be fixed next. So whether you work with a coach or not, I think your two takeaways here are this. Number one, while you don't want to take your emotion out of it, you don't want to completely ignore your emotion, because as our friend Dr. Freud says, there's no such thing as a successful repression. We do want to put them in the proper place. It is one variable for making decisions, gives us important information about how we're feeling about things. And that's often very important information, but we just don't want the emotions to actually be driving without the brain overseeing things and being part of the conversation. And two, you must run your business based off the numbers. Again, we're not dismissing the emotions, but we are focused on the numbers. And importantly, that's going to be most valuable if you have a sense for commonly accepted benchmarks for any of the number of metrics that you are currently tracking in your business. And if you want help here, I do feel obligated to say you can click the link below to find out more about the Unicorn Society, in which case I will personally help you look at your numbers and give you a sense if there's places that need to be improved, or in some cases, just affirm and validate to you and say, guess what? You're doing pretty damn great. All right, friends, it would mean so much to me if you like this video to give me subscribe, share this maybe with some friends if you know other gym owners you think would benefit, because I am on a mission. I want to get these videos out far and wide so that more gym owners are having successful businesses, which are going to allow them to be more successful, both serving the communities they feel called to serve, while creating a great income and a lot of personal freedom for you and your loved ones. I'll see you in a future video where we will cover even more actionable tips, psychological frameworks, and philosophy.